Excuse me. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here, and welcome to One Police Plaza. We're joined here by representatives from our city's LGBTQIA+ Advisory Committee, elected officials, and members of the NYPD to make a special announcement. Today, as we observe National Coming Out Day and continue to celebrate LGBTQIA+ History Month throughout October, the NYPD is proud to launch our LGBTQIA+ Resource Map application. This app, which will be accessible on every single NYPD smartphone by the end of today, will give our personnel in the field searchable access to LGBTQIA+ community centers, advocacy organizations, and other critical resources. We all know we live and work in a very diverse city, and we know that all types of resources are available if we just know where to find them. And now, NYPD officers will have that critical information at their fingertips and will be able to share it with the people we serve instantly. If someone is looking for LGBTQIA+ appropriate support related to legal, medical, shelter, mental health, or a host of other vital services, they can now turn to any NYPD officer for assistance. We can search based on current area or by address and immediately access the details and information of more than 150 locations across the city. This map will be periodically updated and revised to reflect the most current resources available. It will become an invaluable tool for providing crime victim assistance and facilitating community outreach and neighborhood policing. It's all part of NYPD's ongoing effort to better connect with the people we serve. Our work is ongoing, and although the NYPD has made great strides, we know there is always more work to do. We will never stop strengthening the ties and fortifying the bridges that we've built over the years. This app is just the latest innovation in our efforts to fulfill our public safety promise that we make to all New Yorkers. We're looking forward to putting it into practice and helping as many people as possible. I want to take a moment to acknowledge the dedicated and talented people who made this resource map application possible. It was created by Intel Research Specialist Dr. Christopher Chevalier and by Detective Kennetta Ellis from our Office of Equity and Inclusion, and was a joint collaborative effort of our Strategic Initiatives Bureau, Equity and Inclusion Office, Community Affairs Bureau, and our LGBTQIA+ liaison unit. And we could not have done this, of course, without the invaluable commitment and input from the NYPD LGBTQIA+ Advisory Committee. The advocates, organizers, and community support professionals on this committee are an incredible asset to our department, and we are always grateful for their counsel. I'd like to turn it over now to one of our most valuable partners, Congressman Richie Torres, who represents the 15th Congressional District in the Bronx. Congressman Torres.
I want to thank the Commissioner and her amazing team here at the NYPD for creating the LGBTQIA+ resource map, which to my knowledge is the first of its kind in the nation. And it's fitting that on National Coming Out Day, we're announcing an initiative and sending a historic message that the heart of New York City is big enough to include all of us. You know, we in New York City embrace everyone, right? Every New Yorker should be and should feel safe, regardless of who you are and whom you love. And even though our society has made extraordinary progress, we know that LGBTQ equality is far from mission accomplished. There continues to be LGBTQ youth who are bullied at school by their peers or who are evicted from their homes by their own parents. We know that homelessness disproportionately affects LGBTQ youth, and if you're homeless and LGBTQ youth, you're much more susceptible to violence and mental illness and substance abuse. And so there's a dire need for services. And so harnessing the power of technology to connect youth in crisis to services can be a life changer and a game changer. And I just want to express immense gratitude to the Commissioner and her team for giving the LGBTQ community the visibility and priority that it needs and deserves. So thank you so much.
We'll open up the floor to questions. Any questions? Tina Moore, New York Post.
Sure. Hi, Commissioner. How are you?
Hello, Tina, how are you?
What was the department doing before to try to, I'm sure there were some efforts being made to try to open things up.
It's always about engagement. We have our outreach unit that goes out and coordinates with our community, our leaders, and the representatives. I think it's about the people who are on the street every single day who make these engagements. We have our LGBTQIA liaisons that go out as well. But this is just the beginning. I think this is just another tool in our toolbox to reach out to the communities that we serve.
Tom Tracy.
Hi, Commissioner, how are you? Just very quickly, if you can give us like a scenario or two. So every cop's going to have this on their phone, and if there's an LGBT member who's a victim of a crime, they can just, how will this app help in that situation?
So every officer will have this on their phone, and if they have someone who comes up to them and is looking for a particular resource for the LGBTQIA+ community, the officer will be able to search for that resource on that phone, on that application. We're going to do a demonstration for you at the end of this presser as well.
And just a quick follow-up, a couple of months ago, it was NYPD members were allowed to put their personal identity in, how did that go? How did that procedure work?
Actually, I think for the first time, we were able to have officers self-identify into our system to be able to say, hey, this is how I identify and this is what I want to be known as. And I think it's a tremendous step for this department to be able to put that in place for our members.
You don't happen to have any numbers, like how many people have accessed
We
that?
will. We can get back to you with those numbers. But it's very encouraging.
Okay, thank you.
Before we take out, we have a couple more speakers. We have a retired senator, Dwayne.
Outstanding.
Thank you very much. I did retire from the Senate. I have not retired from being gay, or I'm still active in other ways. And I want to, well, first of all, it's just such an honor to be here. Congressman Torres is a personal hero of mine, and I happen to love the commissioner, I'm just saying. I think she's doing an amazing job. And actually, I'm very fond of everybody that's standing up here, and I don't want to leave anybody out, but let's just say very fond of all of them. And they have worked very, very hard, and the relationship between the LGBTQIA+ community and the NYPD has just been improving exponentially, and it is a dynamic improvement that's been happening, and by dynamic I mean it gets better and better all the time. But the app that's being talked about today is just, it's of tremendous importance. It is really, it's so important for the city of New York. I think it's going to be a model for other agencies in the city of New York, and I think it's going to be a model for law enforcement agencies across our nation, and that's how important it is. You know, the NYPD, in its motto, shall we say, it says professionalism, and this is but one example of how the NYPD is making itself more professional, and that impacts in such a positive way the LGBT. You know, you can see why it's sometimes easier to say queer, right? LGBTQ, you know what I mean? So the queer community, it has such a positive impact that now someone from my queer community can go up to someone, to a uniformed police officer, and say that they need help, and that officer can look at their phone and provide some information on where this person can access help, whether it's finding a place to get food, to get mental health services, or if they need help because they are at risk of being the victim of domestic violence. All those things, help can be found on this app. So for a whole host of reasons, this app is of incredible importance, and I cannot stress just how amazing it is. And I also want to say it's dynamic just because it's dynamic, but it's also dynamic because it can be changed and improved and updated on a regular basis. And That's just one of the other amazing things about it. So I'm thrilled to be here. I'm thrilled to be here with some incredibly smart, dedicated activists and professionals in the law enforcement field. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman.
Oops, next we have Ms. Marcy Carr.
I can't see anybody. Just stand up. Fun-sized people platforms. Good morning, everyone. My name is Marcy Carr. I'm a mother, grandmother, advocate, the Operations and Event Production Director at the Pride Center of Staten Island, and a proud member of the NYPD LGBTQIA Advisory Committee. As a New Yorker since infancy, I'm fiercely proud of my city and work on multiple levels to advocate for the safe and inclusive New York City we all deserve. Decades of advocacy have taught me that change requires folks to work together, especially if they don't see eye to eye. Because when we work together, progress happens. As long as everyone is willing to come to the table with open minds, progress will happen. Sometimes that progress may appear small. Other times it's large and loud. But make no mistake, all progress is valuable. It's a sign that we're moving forward. In the 6 years I've been involved in running Pride events on Staten Island, I've forged relationships with all 4 of our precincts. Every year, 3 or so months before our 2 weeks of live events, representatives from each precinct and borough command meet at the Pride Center. We go over what events are in what precinct, where we need support, and what events they can actively participate in. We work together, before, during, and after every event to see that it is safe. Please know, I certainly am aware that we do have a lot of work to do. LGBTQIA plus life in New York City is so much more than Pride events. The LGBT, even I stumble over that. The LGBTQIA plus folks who live and work in New York City should be treated with respect in every interaction. That's why I joined the advisory committee, to work towards those necessary changes. Examples of changes made by the NYPD while I've been on this committee have been LGBTQIA plus specific recruitment campaigns, the development of a policy for members of the NYPD to transition, expanded LGBTQIA plus outreach, and partnering with advocacy groups such as the agency that I work for. The map discussed today will enrich the relationship between the NYPD and the LGBTQIA plus community throughout all of New York City. Among other benefits, officers will be able to offer resources such as the Pride Center, shameless plug, where we can offer support, programming, and most of all, community. You may have noticed I use the phrase work together an awful lot. Back on Staten Island, I have a saying that if we're not working together, we are not working at all. And I believe this with my entire being. Collaboration is key to success, no matter the challenge. It is the many collaborations with the NYPD that bring us together here today. And as I continue to work as a member of the advisory committee, I ask you all to work together with us towards a better New York City for all. Thank you.
Next is Brian Downey.
A few adjustments. Good morning. Good morning. It's good to see you. It is a great honor to be here, as always, representing the Gay Officers Action League, the first organization of its kind in the nation and in the world. I would like to acknowledge our members, that are majority of them over here on my right, your left, who took the time to be here with us today for this announcement and on this National Coming Out Day and during LGBT History Month. In over 6 years of serving as the president of GOAL, I feel that these days are always the best days. They're bittersweet. When we come together in the name of community and in the spirit of a partnership that exists to improve the lives of those we serve. This project exists to give another tool to police officers to do their jobs, but not one to make an arrest or issue a summons or take an enforcement action, but rather share critical and oftentimes life-saving resources that are available to our community. As police, when we share information with people, whether they are in crisis, whether they know someone that needs help, or whether they have a family member they're trying to look out for, we empower them and work to build relationships and trust with communities and heal wounds. Our police officers must be brand ambassadors and guideposts for all people who live and work in our great city. I want to congratulate my good friend, Dr. Christopher Chevalier, and Detective Kenetta Ellis, whose relentlessness, passion, and energy has brought us here today. Without your vision and careful stewardship, this project could simply have been one more good idea. I would like to thank Commissioner Sewell and Deputy Commissioner Equity and Inclusion Wendy Garcia for carrying on the important work of the LGBTQIA+, it's even happening to me, working group that began meeting under the leadership of Commissioner Shea and Dr. Tanya Meisenholder. And to all our goal members who have assisted Dr. Chevalier and Detective Ellis, especially Sergeant Anna Arboleta, LGBTQIA+ liaison for Commissioner Sewell, Sergeant Nellie Vega, Detective Oriade Harbor, and Police Officer Dominic Martorelli for all your contributions. We are fortunate to have such talented and committed people in both the NYPD and the Gay Officers Action League. I thank you for showing up, for standing out and proud, and for always lighting the way for others. Thank you, guys.
All right, I think we had a couple more questions here. Anybody else?
You want to show the demonstration then? We can do a
Yeah.
demonstration. Sure.
So, for our members of our media here, we're just gonna